I'll let you ask the first question.
How's it going, John? What level of concern do you have about your offensive line this early in training camp?
Way too early, Pat. I've been to training camps all my life, and ever since I can remember, the offense is always behind the defense at this stage of the game. I think the pieces that we added to the offensive line will help us eventually. I know it looks a little shaky right now, but I have a lot of confidence in this coach, and I think we'll be just fine.
John, are you glad now that it's over? Are you glad you did Hard Knocks, or did you reveal more than you wanted to?
You know what? It worked out about as well as I ever could have expected. I mean, I was certainly a little nervous about it going in, but I think all in all it worked out. It was a pretty honest depiction of what goes on, and I think people appreciated having that kind of access. And there were some uncomfortable moments in there, but all in all, I'm glad it's over.
We saw you weren't necessarily on board with the plan to let Saquon walk. Just curious, does that raise the stakes at all, with Joe making that decision if it doesn't go well for you guys?
Not really. Every year there's going to be a personnel decision that I'm not 100% in favor of, but at the end of the day, you let the general manager and the coach, particularly if they have a unified conviction, make the decisions, and then bitch about it later. But that was the decision that they made, and no, I wasn't crazy about it at the time. I didn't want to lose him, but I understood what their philosophy was, and you got to let them do their jobs.
John, I know I'm paraphrasing it a little bit, but like you said, that wasn't my dead body. We're going to go on Hard Knocks right back in the day.
Yeah, it would be you to bring that up. Yeah.
But you end up going on. I'm wondering how that came to be and why this version compared to other alternatives.
Well, initially what we were going to do, if you remember about 10 or 12 years ago, we did a show called Finding Giants, which followed some of our scouts around. We were going to do something like that. We were going to call it No Days Off, I think. And so when we talked to NFL Films about it, the more discussions we had, they came to us and said we'd really like to call it Hard Knocks because that has a certain brand appeal, a certain brand awareness. And it took a few conversations to convince me to go along with that. And we did, and I think it worked out fine.
John, for year 3 of a regime, we haven't had a year 3 of a regime in a while.
I'm aware of that.
Is the talent level where you hoped it would be, and what are your expectations for this season?
It's hard to articulate my expectations. I obviously want to show significant improvement over last year, but I'm not going to make any specific guarantees or demands or anything like that, but they know what I want to see. And I have a lot of confidence in this particular team. Their communication is great, and I think we've added some good pieces now. It's time to show everybody.
It seems
John,
like.
do you think the offensive line, which is still going through a few additions, or at least one addition, is fixed?
I'm not going to know that until we start playing games. It was obviously a big area of concern for us, and it has been for a lot of years. That's why we added a few pieces this year, and more than a few pieces. I expect us to be better there. But until we start playing games and showing that, that's just talk.
Joe and Brian have continued to stress that this is a longer-term build and process. Is it okay with you to take baby steps towards a long-term improvement, or do you need to see a winning team this year?
I don't know how to quantify that. I want to walk off the field at the end of the season feeling like we're moving in the right direction. We really are. We've got a great foundation here, and there's every reason to be optimistic going forward. That's about as simple a way as I could say it.
I have a question about today, not football. Talk about the partnership and what this means to the organization on your 100th year.
Well, it's been a great partnership with them. The things we've been able to do in this community here, as I said a few minutes ago, between the Tackle Kids Cancer, between the hospital visits, between honoring HMH's frontline workers, that's very meaningful to us, and it's what our organization tries to be all about.
John, you mentioned obviously the acknowledgement of the year 3 for this regime. Is there something that you see with Joe and Dave's, the way things have worked, that give you confidence that this is what you thought you would see but never did over the previous regimes?
I would say there's several things. One, the communication between the two of them. They seem to be always on the same page, and when there's any kind of disagreement, they talk it out, and they're able to have that kind of communication. 2 is that Joe's process is so thorough. I think you saw a little bit of that in the show, but I mean the amount of work that they do in evaluating players, the amount of discussions that they have, it's a very hard-working group. I just have a lot of confidence. And they've both been a part of successful organizations. They know what it looks like, and I expect us to take a big step forward this year.
John, when you gave a big contract to Daniel Jones, you certainly weren't expecting to have a very public quarterback chase in the draft the next year later. How do you feel about Daniel Jones and that contract and where things stand now at quarterback?
Yeah, listen, I'm still happy we gave him that contract because I thought he played really well for us in 22. Last year he got hurt, and let's be honest, when he was playing, he weren't blocking anybody. So let's give him a chance with a better offensive line, with some weapons around him to see what he can do. I was nervous about giving up too much to go and get a quarterback, but I was prepared to let him do that if that's what they wanted to do. We made a decision to stay with Daniel and add a weapon for him. I think that's going to work out for him.
You've seen playmakers come through this organization your entire life. I know it's only a couple days, but what do you think? What are your thoughts on League of Neighbors?
I mean, I'm excited when I see on the field he's got some unique movement skills to him, and he's got a certain attitude about him. So I'm excited to see him once the game starts.
John, I have a question about a former Giant employee. It's like the first year in 50 years when Belichick's not coaching. I'm just curious, what's your reaction? Are you surprised that he didn't get a job?
I was very surprised. Yeah, I was very surprised. But you're surprised every year by things that happen in National Football. But yes, I was surprised.
You believe he can still coach at a high level at his age?
Sure.
John, you know what Giant fans want, get to the playoffs, compete for a Super Bowl. I mean, is getting to the playoffs enough if you're not...
it's hard for me to quantify that exactly, Tom. I want to see, what do I feel like when we walk off the field after that last game, whenever that is? Are we moving in the right direction, or have we gone backwards? Do I still feel confident with the group that we have there? I believe that I will, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
How much were you in communication?
I'll come back to this.
Will you talk to Daniel directly? Because I mean, obviously, you did go look at other quarterbacks, or at least into the possibility of looking at other quarterbacks, and then kind of have this guy here, and then say, okay, wait, come back, we still want you.
I check in with him from time to time. He's a professional. He understands this business, and if anything, I'm sure it probably motivates him. And he doesn't need to be motivated. There's no harder worker in that building than Daniel.
I was actually going to ask what Jordan asked. How did you see him handle this last few months, and what do you expect?
I think he handled it like the professional that he is, and I expect him to have a great season for us.
How awkward a situation was it, though? Because it's pretty unique to kind of flirt and then have it on TV in addition to that, and have it broadcast to everybody.
It was different. But it's a different world we live in, Jordan.
Take two more.
John, we see Tim McDonnell featured prominently in Hard Knocks. What specifically do you think he brings to the dynamic of the decision-making and personnel evaluation?
His talent evaluation skills, his work ethic, and the respect that he has, not only in our building, but around the league. Sometimes I get tired of reading that, oh, he's only there because he's my nephew. If you go and check with people around the league, you'll see what kind of respect he has as a personnel executive. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you, John.
Appreciate it. Thanks.